stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Welcome to the Revelation 13 podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Revelation 13 podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hopwood. The story of Noah's flood and his survival in the ark is one of the most amazing and to some unbelievable, one of the most unbelievable stories in the Bible. Even in Christian circles, some would try to minimize the events as events in the flood to allegory or to some local flood. The story begins in Genesis chapter 6 and ends in chapter 9. The events which lead up to the flood start with man increasing upon the earth and the sons of God coming down to take wives of the daughters of men. A son of God is an angel and has always been acknowledged as such until around 400 AD, when some tried to claim that the sons of God were descendants of Seth, which is not in the Bible or in any account or ancient texts. The union of these beings created giants. The book of Enoch gets into more detail about the fallen angels and what they did and taught man. It is said that Azazel taught men how to make war. Also, there's a apocryphal story saying that the people couldn't feed the giants. They couldn't feed them enough food. They couldn't grow enough, and the giants started eating people and drinking blood. Regardless if these stories are 100% accurate or not, the Bible states that the earth was filled with violence and man's thoughts were continually evil, and these are the main reasons stated for the flood. The Bible then tells us Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. It says he was just a man who walked with God and who was perfect in his generations. This didn't mean Noah was sinless. It meant that his family line had not been corrupted by the fallen angels. His DNA had not been tampered with. After the fall of Adam and Eve, God gave the promise of the Messiah to lift man from his sinful state. The genetic influence of the fallen angels was a stumbling block to that, and God overcame their influence by preserving Noah and his family. Later, from Noah's son Shem to Abraham, God planted his people in the earth and birthed Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Noah was told to make the ark of gopher wood. The type of wood or process that made gopher wood is unknown. Speculation ranges from it being regular wood of any sort to a special type or processed wood. Noah was told to make rooms and to put pitch within and without. The Hebrew word for rooms could also be translated reeds, and some believe that this was part of the building material of the ark. Boats made from reeds are very seaworthy and are still used today. Egyptians used reeds for caulking their wooden boats to this day also. Pitch would generally be considered tar, and this would waterproof the ark. Noah also could have used some other type of resinous material for this. God tells him to build the ark to a length of 300 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high. This would make the ark approximately 437 feet long, with the standard cubit being around 18 inches, and 512 feet long with the Egyptian royal cubit, which is 21 inches approximately. Its rectangular design is perfect for stability in rough seas. The ark could not be capsized unless it was tilted over 90 degrees. Noah was also directed to put a window in the ark and one door. Noah is told that he is to take pairs of land animals and birds, 7 pairs of clean and 2 pairs of unclean. This would mean 14 clean animals of one type, 7 males and 7 females, and 4 of the unclean, 2 males and 2 females. This is where some people have a problem believing the story as history. They see all the different animal species and say it is impossible for Noah to have taken them all. Noah only took land animals and he didn't need to take water creatures. Most different species today aren't separate kinds of animals. They're animals with variations from other similar counterparts. For example, it is a fact that all bears descend from a prehistoric bear, and that the different species came from genetic variations inherent in the DNA and the adaptation to the environment that the bears live in. It's the same with dogs and most other animals. So the number of animals needed in the ark greatly shrinks to 16,000 animals, possibly even as low as 5,000 kinds of animals in the ark. And based on smaller and in the ark based on a smaller cubit could have held 125,000 sheep-sized animals. Authorities today estimate that there are less than 18,000 species of land animals and birds living today. Most land animals don't get bigger than a house cat, and there's plenty of room in the ark. In all probability, Noah took young, juvenile animals on the ark, which would also create more space. And apocryphal sources say bear this out and say Noah took young animals. Constructing the ark could have taken as long as 100 to 120 years, based on the biblical account. Noah didn't have to hunt down the animals. The Bible says they came to him by twos, and he took them into the ark. This is also mentioned in apocryphal sources. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came to the earth. The Bible gives two main sources for the flood. The fountains of the deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. The Bible states that before the flood it didn't rain. The flood caused a total change in the structure of the earth. The fountains of the deep are thought to be underground water similar to an artesian well. Once you open the cavity, the pressure of the earth above it causes the water to constantly pour out. It also refers to the volcanic activity which would have started the rain. The earth probably had a vapor canopy like most of the planets in our solar system do. The volcanic eruptions of ash and hot gases could have caused the canopy to break down into rain. The majority of the water probably didn't come from the vapor canopy, but it came from the waters of the deep. But the canopy started our current cycle of weather and rain. The canopy could have also helped in the long lifespans of people before the flood. By blocking higher amounts of radiation from the sun, the lifespan of people after the flood greatly diminishes to about 300 to 100 years of lifespan and continuously declines. Pre-flood people lived to about 900 plus years. We also know that before the flood, the air had higher concentrations of oxygen in it. This was found out when a piece of amber was found with an air pocket in it, and when it was tested, amber is tree sap that has been petrified, and this process was probably caused by the flood. The petrification occurred probably during the flood, and the amber can have air bubbles and sometimes insects inside it. This tells us